Welcome to Home Dad Chat, brought to you by the National At Home Dad Network. My name is Brock,
My name is Danny.
and we are here to talk about life as stay at home dads. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
No, I don't want much. I even love handmade crafts made of macaroni. Come on now, you should know me. Times I might eat too much. No worry about my weight, got the dad bod rocking on me. Sketches on my feet, cargo shorts look good on me. I'm a dad, that's what I do.
Hey, everybody, welcome back. Yes, we just punched it. Yeah, right in there.
Punch it.
Uh-huh.
You nerd.
Anyway, yeah, welcome back to the show. It's been a week. It's been a good week though, but it's been busy. But at the same time, we've got a big holiday coming up with lots of candy.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
Definitely have some questions for you about that because I had an idea as far as like seeing some different TikToks about Halloween. So we'll get into that as well.
Cool.
And also too what my wife is going for as Halloween because it's a pretty good costume. Uh,
Right.
but aside from all that, how's your week been, man?
Pretty good. Overall, pretty good. It's long. It's definitely been getting back into the trenches here. But really don't have anything I have plenty I could complain about, but nothing that I really need to complain about. It's all been bearable. Yeah.
Everybody's cleaning up after themselves. Nobody's broke any of your
No,
coffee mugs or anything like that.
no, no, none of those things.
Good,
Actually,
good.
no, all of those things happen. I didn't not coffee mug, but a plate. And I it's what I finally did is I broke down and I said, okay, look, I'm buying each of you your own plol. And it's basically a wide, shallow bowl that you can use as a plate. So this is yours. You choose your color, you choose, and you get like your knife, fork, and spoon with it. It's just like we're camping. This is your thing. You
Love
keep it
it.
clean. And if it's not clean, you can't eat.
That's
Right.
awesome.
But because I'm done with it. I go in there and there's cups everywhere, and I know it's not mine. I'm one of those people that will stick with one cup longer than I should. It's like you should wash that water bottle. It's yeah,
Whew,
it's
yeah.
it's got new life forms forming in it, right? So I know it's realistically not me. I have maybe 2-3 cups that I use the week. One's my coffee cup, which I don't really wash it. I'll run it
Yeah,
through.
you rinse it out a little bit. It's all
Yeah,
good.
I really,
Yeah.
yeah, that's what I think. And so I finally broke down maybe 6-8 months ago and bought actual non-plastic ceramic printed beautiful bowls and plates.
Yeah.
And they're the first matched. The bowls don't all match, but they're kind of all the same kind of color theme, so they look good together, not the exact prints, right? And I can probably get another one of these plates. But my 10-year-old loves what he calls nachos. And it's basically tortilla chips with sprinkled cheese, shredded cheddar or whatever, and
Thrown in a microwave.
microwave it.
Yeah.
Yeah, microwave
Yeah.
it. And
That's
his
the college way, my man. That's
right,
what that
yeah,
is.
yeah, and I get it, but I don't really want to call it nachos, but that's what he calls it. It's close enough, right? And
Exactly.
and he goes in and he's like, well, my bowl was too small, and it is too small to make nachos in it, really, unless you're gonna like layer them up, which he doesn't know how to do. And so he put it on a regular plate, didn't even use a plastic plate, and set it in front of the microwave,
Oh
like to
no.
put the chips like in
Yep.
front of the door,
Yep.
and then pop the door open, and of course it was already
Boom.
hanging off the side and shattered, and pieces of ceramic everywhere. And I'm going to say, because I'm very proud of this moment, I didn't raise my voice, I didn't get mad, I didn't lose my temper in any way. I just went in and I said, okay, buddy, hang on, don't walk around yet, because those little pieces went everywhere. We don't know where they are, so let me get the broom, I'll sweep to you, and then you can walk out, and then I'll finish sweeping the rest of it. And I told him how we cleaned it up. And I told him we have to find either a cardboard, or if we've got like an older plastic thing that we're not going to use anymore. But to put the shards in there, because you can't put them directly into the trash can, which is what he literally was going to do. Um, and it was a beautiful moment for me,
Good.
because I didn't lose my mind. I didn't just, and I don't need to. He broke a plate. It's sad. I don't, that, I wish it hadn't happened, but he wishes it hadn't happened too.
Yeah.
You know, he already felt terrible.
Right.
You know, he knew what he did wrong. He knew he shouldn't have, and he was just berating himself. And I said, look, it happens.
Yep.
You know, we make mistakes, and he feels worse about it than anything I could have said or done. And I feel like it's not my job as his father to make him feel bad when he makes mistakes, right?
Yeah.
And for the first time, I didn't grit my teeth, my nostrils didn't flare. I mean, nothing, man. I was just like,
Woo!
okay, buddy, it's all right, it's okay.
I feel like we need
I
need the little applause button. Yeah.
Right.
Something
It
that.
was,
yeah.
And I hate to toot my own horn, but I still am. I'm proud of myself.
Toot away, my man. That's, yeah, definitely.
It's something that I really have been working on for, I don't know, 40 years at least. So
there you go.
Yeah. So it was a good moment, but I lost a plate, which is sad. Now I have 7, and I can't tell you how much that bothers me to have an odd number of match plates. Just that does. I'm looking at every time I open the can, I'm like, oh, it's okay. We'll get another one someday. Cause they're little, I mean, like they were at most Target plates, probably Walmart plates. I mean, I didn't go somewhere that makes plates and buy plates
nothing fancy. Okay.
No, none whatsoever. But for us, they're incredibly fancy because we went from a slightly warped plastic plate, which they were $5 for $1 or something like that, you know, that you get when your kids are young because they're going to break it.
Yep.
Well, evidently, even when their kids are old or older, they're still going to break your plates sometimes.
It happens. So, yep, it does. Yeah.
But other than that, nothing. Good week.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. That's awesome. Yeah. Week was pretty decent for us. Ruby turned 8 on Friday, so that was a big thing. We so they had fall break, and so Thursday they got out of school half a day. We came home and just chilled out. I think we watched a movie, and then Friday I had to actually, on her birthday, like we decided to do some stuff in the morning, so we went and got donuts, and she got to open up some presents, and then I had to work that night. And then the next morning, we went. So my parents came down, and we went to this farm. It's called Bloom and Berries. It's really neat, actually. It's like $20 a person to get into this place. But once you get in, all of the attractions are free. So, which is
cool.
Yeah. So it's well worth it because there's a hayride out to a corn maze, and there's a gator, what do you call a John Deere gator, you know? Yeah, pulling side by side 50-gallon drums that are cut out like seats, and they're painted like bees, and it's called the Flight of the Bees. And man,
nice.
It was so funny because there were 3 different guys that were driving because they were doing figure 8s and stuff. So you can only do those so many times before you're like, I need a break.
Yeah.
But the first guy, we'll just call him Grandpa, he gunned it. Like, he was having a ball, smile on his face, laughing, having a great time, and was just pedal to the metal the whole way. And it was so funny. And then they switched out, and the next guy that came in, he wasn't quite as pedal to the metal. We'll just call him Dad. Like, he was kind of cautious, but still getting it done. And then later another guy came in, and he's like the fun uncle. He's about like Grandpa in a lot of ways, but he's got his own little quirk into it. So it was funny to see those 3 different guys. So, but my kids had a blast on that. My dad actually went on it with the kids, so that was fun. Yeah. And they've never really been on a roller coaster, and that's probably about the first closest thing that they've gotten to do that's something similar to it, and they had a blast. So nice. So they had that. They have this massive pumpkin, like a moonwalk type of thing,
cool.
That's it's half a football field easily.
Wow, giant.
Oh, it's massive. Yeah, it's just this massive flat pumpkin with air in it that you can bounce around on. So, it's
Sweet.
it was pretty fun to watch the kids bounce around on that. And then see where we do from there. There was like, oh, they've got like a big like culver that's turned into a slide, and I think this thing is every bit of like probably 30 feet. Like it's a good long
Ooh.
slide. It was cool.
Yeah.
And just fun stuff like that. They even had like an area where like they had a corn hopper, and you just took kernels and it went in to it, and then they actually like came down, and so you could basically like sand, like you could mess around with it
Yes.
and do different
Yes.
fun things.
Yeah.
So it just, there were a lot of really neat things for them to do, and it was nice because Ruby's best friend and her family, we invited them to come with us,
Oh,
and so we got to spend time with them, and Ruby and her best friend got to hang out, and it was so cute because
nice.
like at one point like they're holding hands walking around just having a good old
Yes.
time, and it was just nice to just see that interaction. And then her dad is the head varsity basketball coach for the boys team at our school, and so it was fun to get a talk with him a little bit about basketball because I really enjoy basketball. So we were talking back and forth about that, and
Mhm.
connecting with them and with his wife, and so we're going to start hanging out with them more regularly, which is nice to be able to, you know, make some new friends later on in life like that. And
Mhm.
especially, you know, when our kids are all getting along, is like, all right, we can like trade babysitting, and that way like each of us can go out. And then they
Yes.
were like, oh well, we actually found like two or three like great babysitters. One of them like lives in our neighborhood, and I'm like, oh,
Nice.
tell me more.
Right.
And
Yeah.
and they're like, oh yeah, this girl, like she goes to one of the local like private high schools, and she's CPR certified. And I'm like, cha-ching, like that's awesome.
Mhm.
I'm like,
Yeah.
I was like, can we borrow her? He's like, I'm really reluctant to give you her information because I'd hate to be like, hey, we want to go out. Oh, I'm already watching Brock and Corey's kids.
Mhm. I have to say I agree with that.
I do too. I
Oh,
know.
I mean, I'd still be asking for it, but yeah, come on.
I
This
said,
is
I'll
my
call you.
babysitter.
I said, I'll call you first and make sure everything's cool before I call her.
Yeah.
I was like, that's just a golden opportunity to just have that. Like for somebody to even have like two good babysitters, but to have
Mhm.
three, like
Uh,
you've hit the jackpot.
right. Right.
Yeah, so it was fun just hanging out with them. And then Sunday I had probably the biggest event that I have ever done at the brewery. It was a wedding reception for a bartender who from our brewery and his
Cool.
fiance, and there were about 175 people there. So we actually shut the
Wow.
brewery down, and I was running the show,
Yeah.
and it was wild because like all of our workers were there as guests. So
Mhm.
it was literally like me and another event staff person, and then the kitchen. And then they had brought in guest bartenders that were friends of theirs to run
Okay.
that.
That's good.
And I bust the entire event all by myself basically because everybody else was dealing with the food. But it worked out really well. It was a good
Mhm.
time. So, but yeah, I learned a lot from that. And even too felt very appreciated by
Good.
the owners that were there.
Yeah.
Um because they both pulled me off to the side and you know, gave me some compliments. And actually at one point I took so took some trash out, and as I was walking back, one of the owners who I spend most of my time with there, he's like, Brock, come here. And I come up on the deck, and another guy who bartends for us, he's like, here's a cigar, and I poured you some bourbon. He's like, you're gonna take some time here just to like relax.
Yeah.
And you know, you've earned it. And it was just so nice. Like I was like, this is great. Like I got
Mhm.
a chance to actually feel like a guest there for a little bit and just enjoy
Yeah.
just hanging out with them for a while. So yeah, so
Mhm.
that was kind of the week for us, and it was kind of capped it all off. It was a good time. Can't complain.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah. That sounds like a
So,
great time.
yeah, I'm tired,
Yeah.
but it was fun.
Yeah. But congratulations for running that big of an event.
Yeah.
175 people. That's some hustle. Yeah.
It was a lot of work, but honestly it was a huge team effort. And the probably the coolest thing was is that they had a charcuterie setup that was basically this massive table that we have, and we wrapped it in butcher paper, and then they built the charcuterie right in front of everybody. So it was like on either end was like a different type of smoked salmon. So like they had like smoked salmon 2 ways, and then like all this like cheese and meat, and I mean it was awesome. It was like $600 worth of food. It was crazy, and people were just they were eating up on it and enjoying it. It was really a sight to see, honestly.
Oh, that's cool.
I've never seen a spread like that before.
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
Yeah. So, but it helped me to have a conversation with a customer the next day, because they're looking at doing something very similar about a year from now as well. So it was nice to be able to like, well, we just did this. So like, let me show you all this.
Yes. Yeah. Actually, I am the guy you want to talk to, because I literally just did this. So yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. So that was exciting, because it was nice to not walk into that conversation be like, I just don't know. It was nice to have lots of answers for them.
Right.
Made it easier to sell.
and having that, you're building that network almost.
Yeah.
You know, then that customer base is one thing, but it's more important that you're building that network with people. And like, oh yeah, my friend, you know, whatever, Bob had his reception last year, and I was wondering, you guys still do that or whatever? Yes, in fact. You remember how we did this? Do you want that again? Or actually we upgraded, we do this now, you know, or whatever. So that's great. That's great for career development too, getting that experience. So
yeah, it was awesome.
Your boss coming in clutch, and like you take a minute, and I will tell you, that's what I was thinking. When did you take a minute? When did you take some time?
Only once he grabbed me.
Yeah.
And actually I had to jump in and do some things. So I was there for like 20 minutes, and then I came back out and finished the cigar, because I wasn't able to be out there the entire time.
Oh yeah.
So I just was like, yeah.
When you said cigar, I'm like, oh, you didn't have time for a cigar. I mean, that's a commitment, man. You got this isn't, you know, this isn't, oh, I'll take 5 minutes. No, you might as well not light that thing up.
I lit it up. I smoked about a quarter of it, and then I sat it there, and it was fine. And so when I came back, I found the guy that gave it to me, because he had all the cutters, and I was like, hey, give me your straight cutter so I can cut this thing off and relight it. He's like, oh yeah, for sure, man, no problem. So it all worked out. But yeah, and then too, they did another thing which was really cool. We actually they made their own beer. So they had their own beer at the wedding, which was really cool.
Who made their own beer?
The bride and groom
really?
So they collabed with our head brewer. And they made a juicy imperial IPA called Let's Get Slushed, because their last name is Slusher. So that was really fun. And we've got actually up on the Deadlow Brewing's Instagram, there's actually a video of them like making it and stuff, making the beer, which is really cool.
Yeah.
And then they, you know, they actually had 16-ounce crowlers that they filled, and we actually had a vinyl label that has like in black and white, it has like their engagement pictures and stuff on it. And so everybody got to walk out with like a crowler or two for that, which was really cool.
That's sweet.
So those were all things that were a part of the package that was a part of that whole event. So that was a lot of fun. But that's the kind of stuff people want to do. It's a cool side thing.
Well, and that's it. The marketing of being able to just, you know, put it on like one of the wedding, like for Google, whatever, someone says, what should we do for our wedding, or what should we do for our maybe you can make a beer together.
Yeah.
And consider how many people never thought of that, because I definitely didn't. Of course, I'm not a beer drinker or a beer brewer, but even that, I'm like, oh, now that would have been kind of cool, you know, because then you have it, you made it, and you can give it to your guests.
Yep.
That's a perfect.
And then the rest of the batch is like kegged and on tap for, you know, the next month or so.
Yeah.
And so, you know, you can come in and get it whenever you want, kind of deal, or, you know, you can send your friends in to get crowlers of it and whatnot. So yeah, it's got a lot of neat variables to it. So, but that's awesome. Definitely not something that a lot of places I've been hearing do it. So
yeah,
hopefully it keeps going. So yeah,
I hope so.
Yeah. But hey, the other thing that's coming up as far as events go is Halloween. It's right here. I I don't know, Halloween. I'm not into it the way I was as a kid. It's a fun spooky season type of thing, I guess is
Yeah.
another way to put it. Which I keep hearing people talk about all the time. It's like it's spooky season, which is
Mhm.
funny in its own realm. But I would say that we were talking about this actually today. Corey and I are bad parents, and this is why we say this. Because we just realized like we haven't gone out and bought pumpkins to carve. And like the kids have mentioned like what they want to be, dressing up wise for Halloween, and we're just like not moving on it really at all. Like
Yeah.
Ruby's very creative, so she came up with her own thing, which is fine. But Hezekiah wants to be a ninja, and I'm like, we got nothing here at the house for that. So I was like, I might have to make a trip to Goodwill and see what I can find
Mhm.
hanging on the
Black
racks.
hoodie, just a black like face wrap or something. You're good. Give him a katana. He won't know.
Exactly.
He won't know. The Ninja's an easy one. I love Ninja. That's always, that's probably easier than most of them.
Yeah. Well, he's thinking Lego. I think he's thinking Lego Ninja too is the other thing, like Ninjago type situation.
Oh, Ninjago's, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because that's one of his favorite shows to watch.
Yeah, that's a bit more
That's
work.
a
Yeah.
bit more work. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
And
why I
you can
say I'm
just-
gonna go look for an actual costume at like Goodwill or something,
Mhm.
hopefully.
Yeah. Yeah. Since we've like been out of town most of the month, and any of this month that I don't even have my decorations out of storage.
Okay.
And I've
yeah.
had it on my list for 5 days straight. Just go out to the workshop, put up the ladder, bring them down, bring them into the house. If I get them into the house, the kids will put them up.
Yeah.
The kids will have a blast putting them wherever they go and doing all the things. We're not probably going to carve pumpkins. I just don't. I just don't want to do it. It's so messy, and it's just and it's always like Lizzie wants to do one so bad. She wants to be She wants to be an artist, but she's not yet. And she says, "Well, I want to look like this." I'm like, "That's great, but it's not going to look like that, and you're going to cry when you get done." And that's what happened. I think last year. I think with the pumpkins. She's like, "Oh, it doesn't look anything like I thought it would, and this would." And she starts crying, and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm not doing this again until your artistic skills match your imagination, right?" But we're still considering it, but we don't. I was talking to kids today. What do you want to be?
Yeah.
It should be something that we can make at home, or like you said, go to Goodwill.
Yeah.
I don't think I can help you, children. I think you're on your own. And the biggest thing is they want candy, and I'm like, I can't argue that. That's we're gonna definitely.
How do you feel about that though?
Candy.
How do you feel about going out and gathering each kid comes back with like 4 pounds of candy?
Mhm.
I mean, how do you feel about having all the candy in the house? Are you a candy house type of family, or
as long as it doesn't end up stuck to something or someone, including the animals, and as long as I don't have to pick up the trash,
yeah,
I don't care. And do I want them to eat it all at once or try to meter it out? Eat it all at once, because it's out of the house faster. And worst case scenario, you're going to get a stomach ache and throw up.
True.
So worse than and we don't have like, I couldn't, like, if someone came over and said, "Hey, do you have any candy?" No. I have some gum in my truck that I for those emergency meetings when I haven't brushed my teeth or whatever. I'm like, "Oh, I need some gum." Yeah. And that's what it's for. I'm like, I don't have. I mean, we had to go and get Halloween candy,
of course.
And I bought that, and I bought the full size, but only 36 total, because we only had like 20 kids at most come by last year.
Yeah.
So I'm like, this should handle it. And I hid it in the garage. I didn't really hid it, but I put it on a shelf where I know they're not going to see it, because they're just not going to look. And that would probably last, if whatever's left over, if they hadn't brought their own, like gone out and gotten their own candy, that would be gone in minutes.
Yeah.
Because they just never really get it.
Okay.
So, it's kind of iffish, but how about you?
Well, the reason I asked it was because like we're just not a big candy family. Like, I don't know. it's just one of those things where if it's in the house, like they're constantly asking for it, and it's like we have
Mhm.
like healthy options type of stuff. Like I don't mind candy here every once in a while, whatever, but it's just like it gets a little over this
Mhm.
done. But what I was alluding to was the fact that there's this kind of new culture that's it looks like it kind of starting, especially on TikTok, which is interesting to see where um you take your candy, maybe you get like a pick of things that you want to keep, but you're not keeping it all, and you leave the bag of candy outside like your front door, and the candy fairy, as they call it, comes by and actually takes all the candy and leaves you a really cool like little present or whatever. So for instance, like I
Interesting.
saw where one little boy, like he left his bag of candy out, came out the next morning, and there was a Monster Jam monster truck in his bag or whatever as an exchange for the candy. And I was like, that's interesting. Like they
Mhm.
get maybe just a little gift in exchange for, an allotment of candy. And then that candy can be sent over to like troops overseas or something. Like, there's like different people that like actually collect it and use it for other things. So
Okay.
I don't know, just an interesting exchange
Mhm.
of that whole deal. And I was like, I don't know. I haven't really figured out if I want to do that or not yet, but we went to a place a couple years ago, and my kids came home with every bit of 12 pounds of candy almost between the two of
Mhm.
them. It was insane. I was like, there's no way. Like they,
Mhm.
this much candy does not need to come in this house.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, we tend to like the past few years we've gone out to a friend's neighborhood, and like I said, it's just every single door there's just like here's a handful of candy. Although
Mhm.
too, this was like right after COVID as well. So like people had like lots of candy held over. So they
Yeah.
were just like a full handful. Here you go. I was like, I've never
Yes.
seen that much candy get dropped into a bag before. I was
Right.
like, holy
Yeah.
cow. So hopefully by now things are a little more reserved, but you just never know. Um, but I think we're gonna stick here around the neighborhood. The kids were like, we just want to walk around our neighborhood. And I'm like, okay, cool. Like,
Yes.
um, you know, that's nice. It's a few blocks. We can come back here and chill out or whatever. But Corey, like I said, her costume for Halloween is that she's going to be a mime because the Monday, like the 30th, she's having her tonsils taken out. so she can't
Ah,
so she can't talk.
okay. Because I was struggling with that. I'm like, how is she possibly going to be a mime? I mean, she's just dressed it once, so she didn't actually have to be one. So I figured that's how she'd,
Yeah.
she'd work it out.
Yep.
And yes, Corey, I'm saying you talk a lot, but I love it because I talk a lot too.
The best part is she's not in here tonight, so she's
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. All
yeah.
right. So that's cool.
But yeah, no, she's opted for a tonsillectomy because she's been just dealing with getting sick a lot,
Mhm.
and it's basically due to her tonsils. And so she
Oh.
was like, they were like, it's gonna be a bit of a rough recovery because you're in your 30s, like.
Mhm.
And she's like, I don't care, like if it means that I don't have to deal with some of this stuff on
Mhm.
a regular basis, like I'll sacrifice it, it's fine. So
Yeah.
yeah, so that's why I say she's gonna be a mime. But yeah, so me and the kids will walk the neighborhood and then hang out. But as far as decorations go, so we have one main decoration up that I bought at Aldi, which is this like 4 foot tall Nomenstein. So like
All right.
or Franken gnome, I guess is another way to put
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. I think I like Nomenstein. Yeah.
Nomenstein.
I think I like that.
I could not pass up buying that. It just looked too cool. I was like, this is a really neat little
Mhm.
$13 decoration. Sweet, let's buy it.
You said it's 4 feet tall.
It's about 4 foot tall. Yeah. I'll
Yeah.
have to take
All
a
right.
picture of it and send it to you. It's pretty
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
So, but it was neat. Like I was walking through the aisle of shame or whatever you call it, where all the miscellaneous things are. And sure enough, it was like sitting there. I'm like, oh, like we have a ton of gnome stuff. Like we need like a Halloween costume of a gnome or a Halloween like decoration of a gnome.
Of
That
a
would be
gnome. Yeah.
cool.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
So that's
Yeah. I can't
our
wait to
one
see it.
decoration. Yeah. So I'll shoot a picture of that to you. Maybe we'll post it up in the in the little like graphic for this as well.
You should. Yes. I think you should share that with all our friends.
There we go.
Because only half of them probably really want to see it, but the other half at least they'll look,
Yeah, they'll be curious.
There's a gnome thing. You like gnomes, you don't like gnomes. I like gnomes, so I understand. Yeah.
Well, when we bought this house, there actually was a plaque inside this office where I'm recording. There was a plaque on the wall at the base at the baseboard, like a little 3-inch plaque, and it says "Beware of the gnomes."
What?
Like in the room. It's awesome. I mean, to this day, like it's adhered to the wall. Like we did not take it down, and we just were like, this is so cool. Like what a fun little like thing to have just on the ground. It just says beware the gnomes.
and just a little spooky. Just a little. So yeah.
Hey, we really like gnomes, so we've got them all over the front of the house and stuff, and now they've started to invade the inside of the house. So, yeah, nice. It's all good. Yeah,
we have only one yard gnome, and it's the ceramic type, and we hide it all over the yard. Whenever somebody finds it, I move it and hide it because it's a ninja.
Oh.
Yeah,
really?
And it's got the full ninja get up with the hat is shaped like a gnome's hat, but it's black, and he's got like the shovel, like he's hiding something or hiding from something. And every time the kids would find it at the old house, I'm like, oh, there he is! Grab him, bring it in the house. And then, of course, the next morning he had escaped, and I'd hit him somewhere else in the yard.
Oh my god!
But we got that awesome. One. I have to say, that's enough for me, because I talk about breaking things. We had one before and it got broken. I mean, it couldn't have been a week. And I don't remember exactly what was going on, but we just put it up and had a little spot. I was going to make a little fairy house area in that area. And I don't know if one of the kids was digging or something, but I remember one of their, it's like wood and metal shovel, but it's a kid size, right? And hearing that clang and then it dropping the ground, and I'm turning around and the gnome is shattered, and I kind of like, I'm not doing that anymore. I don't trust you guys. If it doesn't hang from a tree where you can't touch it, I'm not putting it in the yard. So
that's anyway. A bummer, but you got a new one, so that's good.
Yep,
nice. Yep. I like that idea. No, that's cool. I like that a lot. That's really
nobody
fun.
Can find it.
But yeah, so Halloween will definitely just be kind of chill, lay back, nothing too crazy going on, which is nice too, because like this neighborhood doesn't get super busy, but there's still quite a few kids that walk around here. It's nuts because there's not a lot, like you don't see a lot of kids on a regular basis around here, and then on Halloween night there's like 100 kids that just like converge on this neighborhood, and it's not like a neighborhood where you're getting full size candy bars or anything like that. I mean, just kind of, it's just an older neighborhood. There's lots of people out, so there's a consistent line of getting stuff. I will say though, the coolest thing about trick-or-treating in this neighborhood is the fact that the local fire department, if they're not out on call, come and drive up and down the streets, and they hand out full-size candy bars to everybody. Like they buy a whole bunch of them, and it's so cool. Yeah. So they come in with their lights on and everything, and all the kids know to like converge over there. Yeah, right. They hand out all kinds. I mean, they have, and it's not just candy bars too. Like they had like one time they had candy bars and like big old things of like Starburst and stuff. I was like, dude, this is sweet.
Yeah.
So there's fun things like that are going on. We used to just hang out in the front yard and have a fire pit out there, and just I think one year we did apple cider for people and stuff, and
I'm thinking about doing something like for the adults, like maybe mulled cider or something like that go in, but something that you can hear. Here's something warm, and do you want some alcohol in it? That's your choice.
Yeah,
we'll see how that works. But to kind of offer something to the parents, because we have most of the people that are walking around our neighborhood, we have a couple of younger parents, in their 30s ish or younger, and then everybody else, it's grandma and grandpa.
Yeah,
taking the kids, run on up to the door there, and doing whatever. And so I'm like, I think I would like, would you like some warm tea, or would you like some a hot toddy. Where are you? Where are you at
Yeah,
tonight, Grandma?
right,
Where are
exactly.
you feeling?
No, that's
How many
cool,
more
though.
houses do you have to walk? So I don't know if I'll be able to do it this year, but I'm considering it. So
Well, there's houses in the neighbor, or there's houses around here too, and I hear this around the whole city where like people just have like a cooler full of beer, and it's like they give
Mhm.
beers out to, if you're walking the neighborhood.
Yeah.
That place, that neighborhood that we were at the past 2 years, there was a guy like 2 doors down from our friend's house that we would go trick-or-treating with, and he
Mhm.
had always had a bottle of like 9-year-old Knob Creek. And if you were, and it was like, bourbon, yes please.
Right. Yep.
On a cool night, sure, no problem, I'll walk
Yeah.
around with some bourbon.
Right. And in a little sippy cup.
Yeah,
That,
exactly.
yeah. Give
Worked
a
out
little to
real
the
well.
kid. Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. So,
But
anyhow,
anyway, yeah. So
Yeah.
I mean, it'll be hopefully a fun Halloween for everybody else too.
Mhm.
If you think about it, anybody listening, post some pictures when we post this episode so that we can see what you and the kids dressed up as. Would love to be able to see those costumes. I know in years past, like the org has actually done costume contests and stuff. That wasn't happening this year, but because we were just, with everything going on with the convention, it was a lot of
It was a lot.
there was a lot
Yeah.
going on. But yeah, so put your pictures in the comments so that we can definitely see those. I'd love to be able to see what everybody wore, so that would be fun. And yeah, and then the last thing before we go, for anybody who hasn't seen, there was an announcement that was made recently about the new executive committee for the board, and we've got a new president, we've got a new
Oh, yeah.
VP, and then our secretary and our treasurer are the same. So the VP, and I'm very excited about this, is Keith Nagel. And
Nope.
Keith,
Not the VP.
oh, did I say VP? My bad. The president of the National At Home Dad Network is Keith Nagel.
Keith Nagel, yes.
And
Also very excited.
I'm very excited that Keith is the president. He
Mhm.
has been an awesome VP past few years, and so this is just a great move. And I think that it's going to be something that's going to help the organization continue moving forward.
Yeah, I agree 100%. We talked about it on the board. Keith and I talked about it personally, about his ideas, what he was thinking, what he was looking at doing, and I'm like, I'm gonna miss JHG. I am. I really enjoyed what he did, and liked a lot of stuff that he did. He wasn't perfect by any stretch, but I really appreciated what he did. Excuse me. And when he was leaving, I'm like, okay, so Keith's going to be president. I mean, that's just saying to myself, like, because
that was my hope when I was
else is
leaving.
it?
That was my hope. Yeah.
There's nobody else that could fill those shoes. I mean, it's just not, he's the obvious choice. Now, if someone else had come in and said, hey, I want to try it, there are people that I'm like, oh yeah, I would consider them, being president.
Sure.
Because they've been here a while, they've got the experience, whatever. But he was my first choice. And I'm really glad that he got it.
Now his dedication to the organization these past few years has been definitely well seen, and I'm very glad that he's stepping in that position. And then the vice president, we have a new vice president as well, because Keith, of course, is not the vice president. Our new vice president is the man sitting across the screen from me, the very wonderful Danny Mercer is our new VP for the organization. Congratulations, man.
Thanks. I appreciate it. Yeah, I just feel like it's my next step.
Yeah.
For lack of a better way to put it, I could have never gotten on the board and still done a lot of work for the convention, for the network. But getting on the board really opened up a lot of doors for me in a lot of areas where I didn't even know exist, a lot of back, behind the scenes kind of stuff, and getting things going in the organization and with the convention and just everything. And I'm looking at where I want to be, which I kind of think Keith probably had the same thought at some point. It's like, well, I want to do this, this, and this so that I will have accomplished these things. And I'm not usually, like, for lack of a better term, career minded, but I guess that's what it is. And I said, yeah, I think I want to be on the executive board. And I do not want to be president. I don't think I'll ever want to be president. That's just not my role. I cannot be treasurer. It's not going to happen. I can't. I just can't. I'm not joking. I have terrible money skills, and you have to know your limitations.
We've talked about it a lot.
I'm not your dude. And I'm looking at it like, hey, so secretary is where I was thinking, and I look at the amount of work that Matt does.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I ain't got time for that. There's no way.
Like I'm not taking that away from him.
And he has, and I told him this too. I told him in a direct message, I said, "You're doing a great job, really, and I appreciate what you're doing." And I wasn't sure if he wanted to be VP or wherever he wanted to go, but no, he has been doing a good job.
No, I know. I was just like, all the buttering him up.
Yeah, but all the things that he put in place, and he put at his, this is his focus, this is his mission, so to speak. And he has been fulfilling them.
Yeah.
I mean, he's like all of us. He makes mistakes, of course. I'm not saying he's perfect, but he is still in step with what he wanted from the very beginning. And I really respect that. And he works all the time. And I'm just like, I don't have time for that. I just don't. And I don't know that I want to work that hard.
Well, but, it fit very well into him being the secretary anyways, because I remember when he came onto the board, he was like the first guy that I ever knew who just decided that he was going to like start looking through all of the former notes from other like board meetings. And his reaction to all of like what he read was just, he was so infuriated and like motivated at the same time. Like he was upset at what he was seeing and how things were moving in the board with the organization and stuff, and which made total sense because there were lots of people who were, not really in step with what was going on. But he took that as like an immediate dose of reality to actually like, all right, transparency is going to be like at the very top of my list of things to have done for this organization. I feel like he's done a great job of that. And so, yeah, having him stay in that position for another year, I'm very happy that he's in that role. And
me too.
Yeah. And then Grady Black as the treasurer for one more year is super helpful. I think that he's learned a lot in his time doing it, and also with Ed giving him the necessary tools to help him get in place where he needs to be, has definitely helped keep us balanced with budgets and other elements of payments and things along those lines. And so, and also that helps with the transparency as well. So
yeah,
being able to put out right numbers and things along those lines. So yeah, I'm really excited for the executive committee and what you guys are going to be doing over the next year.
Yeah. And it's been very busy already.
Yeah, I'm sure once you step into it, it's probably like, let's go punch it, Chewy.
There's punch it. And there's so much excitement from the convention as well. So we've got 3 new board members, and they are all coming in exactly. I will say what you would expect from people, right? Kyle Denny, what else could he do except the very best? I mean, he's got so much going on. He's so much that he's done, and he's going to just keep doing that. And he has, same with Paul Gordon. He's just one of those people that is just getting things done. And he came in and truly has been adding things every single conversation.
Right.
Making us better. And I mean, surprisingly, because I don't know him, Chris, he's been doing amazing. And I mean, after talking to him, at the convention and riding with him for a little bit, and then at dinner, and then everything he's done again. So they're all brand new, but with a lot of knowledge about how boards run and things of that nature, and a lot of excitement of, Milwaukee was great. How do we make St. Louis better?
Yeah.
How do we refine this? How do we do, how do we make this Milwaukee was great, but did you go to St. Louis? That kind of experience. And that's all great, like convention stuff, but that same energy is in everything that we've talked about, everything that we've looked at, everything that we brought forward for how we want to do for the new year, and for the new board, and for the things, our goals that we have from now until the next convention and the next election. So it's been very exciting. Very exciting.
And Chris too, like he kind of brings the youth actually in a lot of ways. Like because I think he's your youngest. I would imagine he's your youngest board member, but he's also kind of the newest to the organization as well. So he probably brings a lot of insight that he's seeing that maybe others aren't. So that was my hope. With the fact that he got on there was that he'd bring sort of like that new vision, idea, like that kind of thing to what you guys are already doing. I will say this too, just with being in Slack and being, in the planning committee area, man, there is a ton of conversation already. Like they did not stop. There was no breath. It was an immediate like, oh, we're in St. Louis. Great. Let's start. And I have never seen in all of my years involved with everything, like have never seen it take off the way it has. And which is crazy because it's like they just took the buzz and excitement from Milwaukee and just was like, we're just gonna keep the faucet on full blast, like and keep going. And it's crazy. So yeah, St. Louis is gonna be buzzing all year, which is really wild because I did not expect that. I really did not. And they've taken it on full bore.
And it's something that we're haven't really talked about on the board or among the board members too much, but we've all kind of pinged on it over the last year, is let's get this convention next year already planned and done and be planning the one after and the one after that. Now we can't, for a lot of different reasons, plan too far ahead. There's just restrictions and things that we would have to deal with, or things that we might not be ready for. And that's fine. But the reality is we've been looking out and putting out our feelers for 2 years out now. So having, I will say, a really, really well run convention for this one. And laying the groundwork to kind of give that framework for a good convention to the guys in this planning committee. I think St. Louis is going to be amazing.
I honestly, I think that quite frankly, the next, so many are going to be that way because there is such the ability to, the RFP is getting sent out to the hotels and the scouting that's going on at the different cities.
So tell everybody what an RFP is. I know, but
so
our acronyms, right? It's a request for proposal.
Request for proposal. So basically sending out to visitors bureaus and hotels and things like that, like this is what our convention is, this is how many come to it, this is what we do, and then being like, can you accommodate us, and then waiting to hear back if that's possible. And we get some places that are like, nope, we can't do it, and then we have other places that are like, sure, we'd love to have you, and like their amount for things is just too much. So we send out a lot of those and wait to see. The other ones that really are probably the worst, and I would put this in this sucks category, are the ones where you're like, you want to go to the city and the only good proposals you get are from airport hotels where there's like nothing else around, which sucks because that's not what you want at all.
And we've had people in the past like, oh, well, what's going on? We could get this hotel and it's, it's $100. I'm like, yeah. They don't have any conference rooms. And that's what we're going for. And it's like, you could throw a rock and hit a plane.
But you can't hit any restaurants.
But there's exactly, but that's
it's a 30-minute Uber ride to get to anything to anywhere. Going to.
Right. Yeah. And it's a really interesting balancing act. And I'll say this, and we've said it in the past. I encourage anybody that thinks their city should be the city for the convention, put a proposal together. That's how we got Milwaukee. That's how we, I think, got St. Louis. I can't remember. No, but when as done, but still put it together. If you think it should be in Atlanta, let's see it, because it's more difficult than you imagine.
Definitely. And if you've got able bodies that are in that city, that helps out tremendously too.
Absolutely.
So that's the other thing. But so all kinds of exciting things going on. But I think we'll stop there and wait
Mhm.
till the next episode to talk about more exciting things. So, because it'll be at that point, we'll be getting into November, which is, of course, the beginning of Movember.
Yep.
So, fun things
I have
going on with Movember.
Nothing prepared personally, but yep,
That's
it's
okay.
coming.
There's things to talk about. We'll get it
Yep,
all
yep.
out there. So, some people who haven't heard about Movember, take a look at it and we'll talk about it on the next episode.
Mhm.
So, y'all have a good week. We'll talk to you soon.
Happy Halloween.
I'm a dad, that's what I do.